Dadgummit, my computer froze again. That's the price of getting something used. But anyway, so again, talking about Enneagram Type 5 in relationships, and basically, how do we get along with others and who do we get along with is a question from Pookie86, sorry, whatever, however you spell your name or pronounce it. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. My handle is Hoovian, and or whatever it is, I don't know. On Twitter though, it's Anna Fear Not. So Hoovian is because obviously Doctor Who. I'm a Whovian and have been since I was little. My grand got me into it, so I love Doctor Who. So anyway, and I'm wearing a Beatles shirt in memory of my dad. Tomorrow's Father's Day. So, Enneagram Type 5s, and who do we get along with in particular? So I'm going to explain a little bit more about us, because I feel like he doesn't totally understand himself, and I want to help him, and I want to help other Enneagram Type 5s and people that are not Enneagram Type 5s to understand us better. So we don't have the greatest social skills, and we don't pick up on social cues sometimes as Enneagram Type 5s. Case in point, I'm not the greatest at picking up when guys like me. It takes somebody who's extremely flirtatious, overboard, and they have to say they're interested in me for me to get the hint. Like, guys back in college, I had no idea liked me. Like, Facebook world, they're all adding me, and I've had quite a few say, man, I had the biggest crush on you back in the day, and you sat in such and such class, and I thought you were so cute, and so smart, and blah 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 blah, but you were intimidating. And I was like, intimidating? What did I do that was intimidating? But I'm also an INTJ. But anyway, I don't know what I did that they thought was intimidating, but they were too intimidated to ask me out bluntly, but they liked me. And like, sometimes I'll be with somebody and they'll be like, wow, that guy really likes you. And I'm like, really? What makes you think he likes me? And they'll be like, duh. And I'm like, that's not helping me. You're telling me duh. That's not helping me to see what he did that shows that he liked me. So I don't always pick up on social cues about when a guy likes me. I don't. So he has to be extremely overt in his behavior and show me like overt, over the top behaviors for me to pick up on it, because I don't pick up on it. He has to say certain things that are flirtatious, and when they're giving you the up and down and scanning you and smiling at you, I could tell that is a social cue that they like me. But if they're not doing that overt behavior, and if they're not saying flirtatious things or trying to touch you and that kind of stuff, I miss it. I don't know the behaviors to watch for sometimes for a guy that's interested in me. And so hence I don't date a lot. And so that's another thing with Enneagrams, and Enneagram Type 5s. And I've been told too, you don't look like an introvert. Why are you introverted? Okay, just because I don't have like a cat and always wearing glasses or a sweater doesn't mean I'm not an introvert. And just because I don't have like a ton of books behind me, I do read, but grad school burned me out. I had to read way too much for grad school and keep up a academic GPA for an academic scholarship. But anyway, it burned me out, so I barely read anymore. Yeah, so we don't pick up on social cues, and we don't have the greatest social skills, and it's because sometimes we see people as a waste of time. Like, I can't stand people that talk about meaningless, shallow shit. I can't do it. I can't stand gossip. And so I'll see friends of mine that are deep and they still have social skills, and they'll go and converse with somebody endlessly about something shallow. And I'm like, how do you do that? I'm exhausted. All I did was watch you, and I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by the whole thing. That energy just drained me like a vampire. I just can't. And so, because we don't have the greatest social skills, we come off as weird and eccentric, and so sometimes people don't like us because of that. We're also very smart. Most of us tend to be very smart. Some of us are scholars. I went to graduate school. Not everybody does that, though. Some people do their own thing, like Tim Burton. I don't think he went to graduate school. Nicolas Cage, I'm pretty certain, is an Enneagram Type 5 because he's so eccentric and weird and gets picked on because he's so eccentric and weird, but he's so down to earth and sweet. I could tell he's an Enneagram Type 5, and he didn't necessarily go to college or graduate school either, and not a scholar, but he is smart, and Tim Burton is smart. So they're smart in their particular craft, and they try to hone in on it and perfect it. And so to me, those are typical Enneagram Type 5s. Nicolas Cage, like I said, isn't necessarily listed as one on the internet, but me being an Enneagram Type 5, I can recognize it in others. I can spot it, and I can also spot it if it's a wing. So if they're Enneagram Type 4 and a 5, wing, and they pull that direction sometimes, I can still tell. So I can tell that, they can relate to me, and they are, a 4 wing 5. So, yeah, we can come off as weird and eccentric, and I've gotten those looks from people, especially women, that I'm weird and eccentric. Men usually like it. They like that I'm different and odd, and they'll look at me like like I'm adorable, or I'll get a look like excitement in their eyes, like they want to fuck me. So I'm able to pick up on that cue. But I'm not always good at picking up when a guy is interested unless he tells me. So if he doesn't tell me, like even if he's texting me or messaging me on like a social media app, I still won't pick up on it unless he tells me, hey, I think you're pretty, and hey, I'd like to get to know you. And some of them are some of the guys on the internet don't even try to form a relationship. They'll immediately DM you, and you're beautiful, you're hot, I would like to fuck you. And like, really? And they'll send you dick pics and stuff. Or I've actually had guys send me videos of them jacking off, which is really, 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 really disgusting. Like, I don't need to see you in your private time. That's not hot to me, so I don't know why they do that. I've had several do that to me. And especially on Facebook, it's like, why did you friend me just to send me that? That's gross. But anyway, getting back on topic, sorry to rabbit trail off, but we don't have the greatest social skills. We miss social cues. We come off as eccentric, and so not everybody, and we're smart in whatever it is that we do. I'm a classical singer. I'm a soprano, but I don't perform anymore because I don't like the attention. I don't like people staring at me. I don't like them coming up to me and swarming me after I perform and telling me about my performance, or looking at me like they think I'm fantastic. I don't like that. I'm very uncomfortable by people giving me that kind of attention, especially in a group. I don't like it. I hate parties. I hate all that. I don't like it. I don't like being the center of attention. I would rather be behind somebody and let them have all the attention and be just sliding under, just under the radar and just skating by, and I'm totally good with that. But so yeah, sometimes we come off as weird and eccentric, and so not everybody likes us, not everybody accepts us. We get rejected quite a bit. Those that accept us and like us is because they're fellow geeks, and they may like some of the same stuff that we like, although more of my geek side didn't come out until I had my son. That's when I started collecting, and it was for him. And then I became interested in myself, and I was like, hey, I want to collect. These will be valuable someday, and he could sell them off when I'm, dead and gone. Or he can keep them, whatever he wants to do with them. But, they're collectible, and, why not have them now and enjoy them while I can? So I've got the weird stuff. You probably saw my other video with my horror collection and my Batmans. And I've got some sci-fi. with Doctor Who and Star Trek. So I'm a nerd, you know. I am a geek, you know. Just because I don't look it, you know. And again, getting told, well, you don't look like an introvert. Why are you introverted? When guys ask me that, I'm like, there's not a look. You don't have to appear to be an introvert or appear to be a geek to be one. You know, just because I don't look like the stereotype that you see in a picture with someone with big glasses and looking a particular way and unattractive and having a sweater with a cat or whatever, doesn't mean I'm not, you know? So, you know, just stupid. But, so yeah, not all the people are gonna understand us or accept us, you know, but I think eventually they do figure out that we're very analytical and smart and good at what we do, whatever we do choose to go into. My other field, I am very honed in on it. I'm extremely good at it. It does intimidate people that aren't as skilled, that got by on C's and didn't get a lot of experience in the field like I did. And so I know they're intimidated, and not a whole lot I can do about that. I'm good at what I do. I'm smart. I made easy A's in the other topic that I majored in grad school, and it is what it is. I don't care that it intimidates them and they don't like it. But and it's mostly women that get petty. So, but yeah, we tend to master whatever it is that, you know, that catches our interest. And I did master voice. I am good at singing. I just don't like performing. And my professors told me I need to smile more when I sing instead of looking terrifying to the audience. And they told me I need to sing every week and perform every week to get over my performance anxiety, because I have really bad performance anxiety, but I also can't stand to be stared at. I can't. I don't like being stared at. I don't like people coming up to me after I perform and going, oh, you were so amazing, blah, 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 blah. I hate that shit. I don't like it. It makes me really uncomfortable. And so I will recluse and stay away from people for a while. And deep down, part of me wants to go out and perform and gig again. I would love to go and, you know, sing at some clubs in Dallas that are following me, and a couple gigs in California that are following me. I would love to go and do a gig at their club. It would be fun, but again, I don't feel confident standing up there and being stared at. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. And, you know, and I am a perfectionist and everything like that. So I know I'm holding myself back. That's an Enneagram 5 thing, you know. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So, types I get along with versus not. I'm going to start off with types that I have not had the best interactions with. And I will say Enneagram Type 1. They tend to be the follow everything legalistically, policing you and telling you, you know, if you fuck up, oh, blah blah blah, and they'll point it out. They love to look at rules, and they love the law, they love all that stuff. And so Enneagram Type 1s, they're kind of boring to talk to also. And so I don't like Enneagram Type 1s. And so they've tried to talk to me, and I can see that they're organized, and they seem like nice people from a distance, but I like to keep them at a distance. I'm organized too, INTJ. I am organized, but I'm not on the spectrum that they are. They are super organized, and they are super they're the types to be micromanagey if they are a manager. They are the types, if they see you on the internet and you misspell a word or your phone autocorrects a word, they're the first to police that and tell you you have an error, you know, in your, you know, a typo. And they're the types to like just police everything, and they just are, I don't like them. So Enneagram Type 1, I will say be cautious. Enneagram Type 3. Okay, so I dated an ENFP who is an Enneagram Type 3, and we dated for only a month as a relationship, and he was interesting. We got along fantastically. It was a great relationship. However, he had not been back after serving in the military for very long, and that's another thing. I attract a ton of military guys, and I'd rather not anymore. I used to date military guys, and I would, if they were interested in me, I'd date them. But now I'm like, no, I would rather not. So, but he had just gotten out of the military, had served 8 years, or close to 8 years, and his wife cheated on him while he was away, and they had 2 kids together, and they were his kids, but they were little, and they had just gotten through a divorce, and so I just felt like everything was too much for him to have a relationship with me. And so I told him, I think this is too much on you right now, and even though I'm low key and don't have, like, I'm not high maintenance and I'm not expecting anything, I still think it's too much on you, and I don't think you've dealt with your shit, and I think that you need to go back and deal with all your shit. I think you need to go live with your parents, and go see if you can have a relationship with your ex-wife in some way to make peace so you can see your kids, and work on that, sort it out, sort your life. And he hated that. He was so mad, and stopped talking to me, and it is what it is. He held a grudge and cut me out of his life, and like I said, it is what it is. So I don't hold any ill feelings toward him, and I'm okay with not talking to him anymore. I healed over him pretty quickly. I think it took a month or 2 to get over him. Let's see here. The INFJ and Enneagram Type 8. Now, what I want you to consider when you do consider people is, are they toxic, and can they handle a relationship? Because they can have a great personality type, but if they're toxic as hell, you need to pay attention to that more so than their personality type. So just because they're an INFJ, just because they're an Enneagram Type 8 or a fellow Enneagram Type 5 or Enneagram Type 3 does not mean they are going to be healthy to have a relationship with. So you need to still watch for signs of them being toxic. So if they blow up at you over trivial things, if they are a taker and not a giver, all the stuff that shows unhealthy, relationship. Pay attention to it. Don't ignore it. Don't think it's going to get better. Pay attention to it. Move on. And so with him, I did try to work it out. I did. And sorry, my foot's falling asleep. I did try to work it out with him. And I don't remember if I stated it in my previous video. Sorry. But he wanted to tell this girl in his church group, this thing that was going to be mean, and it was going to hurt her. And I could tell she was a caring type of person, and he didn't care about her perspective. And that's the thing about INFJ. Sometimes they don't care. If they think they're in the right about something, they will not care, and they will not see it from the other person's angle, and they will just be mean, or they will ghost you in a second. So he got angry at me for calling him out on it, and I am an assertive, blunt person, and if I see that you're going to be mean to somebody, I'm going to tell you that it's wrong. So if I think you're a good-hearted person, of course I'm going to love you to death, but if I see that you're going to do something that's vindictive, that's petty, and is going to hurt the other person involved in your conflict, I'm going to call it like I see it, and I'm going to tell you, don't do that. And I will do it in a gentle way. And if you don't take it right and you blow up at me, that's a bad sign. So, and if I try to say, hey, I'm sorry, maybe I could have phrased it better, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, sorry for butting in, and instead of listening, but I'm an INTJ, and so my thing is, sorry, my X-Files is a little bit loud, but I'm an INTJ, so I'm not going to come at you with feelings immediately when you're telling me about a situation. I'm going to see all angles, and when I see all angles, like with that situation in particular, where he was going to say that to that girl in front of a group of people and laugh at her in a in a really evil way. He was wanting to laugh at her in a sarcastic, my almost like a villainous type of laugh. And at one point he actually did that to me when I told him, I wish you would open up a little bit more and be a little bit more honest with me about stuff. He gave me that same evil, I can't pronounce it, villainous, sarcastic laugh and said, I'm not going to open up to you. And I was like, he does not care how I feel. It doesn't matter that he's an INFJ. He does not have any care or feelings about how I feel. He's only thinking about himself. And he's toxic. And so I cut him. I blocked everything. He cannot ever contact me again. So I want to encourage you to look at signs on if they are toxic and don't ignore it and cut them from your life. You can't fix them. They're not interested in changing or healing. Move on. So if somebody is not interested in growth, I have no use for them. And I'm not going to waste time. And so I encourage you to do the same. But so proceed with caution. So even if they have a great personality type, I want you to proceed with caution and be careful and look thoroughly at signs and don't ignore them. Because too, with us being sensitive, caring people and thinkers and weird, eccentric, we are vulnerable quite often, and so sometimes people that are bad will be attracted to us and target us. And I've had it happen several times, and so I just want to warn you to not ignore obvious signs that the person is toxic and bad, and listen to yourself. And sometimes, because of the fact we're reclusive, we get lonely too, just like anybody else. And so that's another reason why we get sucked into these bad relationships, because we get lonely and we think, oh, it's not too bad, it's better than nothing, or maybe this is the best I'm ever going to get. And I thought that about the INFJ Enneagram Type 8 guy. I thought, maybe this is the best I'm going to get. Maybe it doesn't get better than this. Maybe I'm single and going to be single forever because there's just no good guys out there, and all that's out there is crappy guys like this guy. And that's not the case. So single again. And I'm still getting like tons of messages on the dating app, and that's overwhelming. I don't like seeing 50 messages and having to deal with that, so sometimes I'll just ignore it. But let me see. So Enneagram Type 3, he and I got along well. Let me explain what Enneagram Type 3 is for the ENFP that I was dating. So for him, those tend to be the people that like being the center of attention, so extrovert, more than likely. They don't mind being the center of attention. So Enneagram Type 3s are the ones that they're very charming, and they could talk you into doing anything just about, because they tend to be lively and fun. And so, if you are the type that's like, I don't feel like going out today, the Enneagram 3 will say, let's go on a bike ride, it'll be fun. And you're like, really? And they're like, yeah, it's gonna be so fun, let's do it. And so then you get sucked into it. Enneagram Type 3s tend to be the performers, so it's not surprising if their chosen path is being an actor, being a musician of some type, or even a teacher. So somebody who likes to be the center of attention, that likes to be dramatic, that likes the attention, that likes to perform, those are going to be the folks that are in the Enneagram Type 3. Also Enneagram Type 3s, let's see, what else can I say about them from my notes so I can have that for you. I try to be more thorough. Oh yeah, charming, and that's pretty it in a nutshell. So Enneagram Type 3s, so even though for us as Enneagram Type 5s don't like superficial stuff, try to look for the meaningfulness of that person, of the Enneagram 3, because they actually are incapable of being deep. So even though they're like, hey, I want to be the center of attention, and hey, look at me. I'm a singer, an actor, a musician, or a teacher, and whatever their profession is, a lawyer, and they want to be the center of attention and, doing all this stuff. They're still pretty good deep down. They're really actually caring people and fun to be around. Like, I had so much fun with that Enneagram 3, that ENFP Enneagram 3, and that's because I could let my guard down and actually be myself, and I actually talked him into doing stuff that he didn't want to do. And so because they're so hypersensitive about what people think about them, and I'll go out in public and not give a shit. And so I got him to drop his guard, and sometimes we'd have fun if we went out and stuff. And so Enneagram Type 3s, they do care about what other people think about them. Sometimes they're people pleasers to their detriment, because you can't please everybody, so it drains them emotionally. So that's where we're needed, because we get drained by people too, but not because we're trying to people please, because we don't give a shit. Although we're sensitive to rejection, we're not out to please people. So it's probably sounds confusing to other people, but that's just how we are as Enneagram Type 5s. But Enneagram 3s care about people, they people please, they want everybody to be happy, they don't want to ruffle too many feathers, they are capable of being super smart and thinking about, conspiracy theories or outside the box. So that's what makes us as Enneagram 5s interested, because we're like, ooh, they like delving into the unknown. They like delving into the voodoo stuff that nobody else wants to be, bothered with. That's attractive. And so we're naturally attracted to them, and in turn they're attracted to us because we appreciate them. So Enneagram 3. So again, make sure, don't just go by a personality type. Make sure the person is healthy and not toxic, that they're not on drugs, they're not, a certain personality type, like, that INFJ, I think maybe he might have been a borderline or possibly narcissistic personality disorder. I'm leaning more towards borderline. He seemed more like 1 minute like you, next minute not, and it was so extreme that it was just really weird. So and it's unfortunately because of how he was raised, and he never overcame it, didn't get help, and didn't grow from it. He's still immature and stunted, arrested development. So make sure and be careful. Again, you don't want to get trapped in a bad relationship, which we are prone to as Enneagram Type 5s, because of the fact we get lonely because of being isolated and feeling, unaccepted by the world and by people as a whole. And so we're sensitive to that, but at the same time, we like to be at home. So it's kind of oxymoron with us, but like I said, we tend to be smart, sometimes inventors, sometimes poets, sometimes actors, sometimes directors, like Nicolas Cage, like I said. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who I'm related to through my mom. I can definitely tell he was an Enneagram Type 5. I could definitely from his writing. So yeah, Enneagram Type 3s, I got along with that type easily. They're very easy to get along with. And it's probably because they're people pleasers. They like to perform, and but they are smart and they're capable of depth. So don't count them out, and count them as one of the people that you would like to have a relationship with if they're healthy. Also, Enneagram 9s are low-key. They like peace, easygoing people. That's in my triad. I'm an Enneagram 5 first, and then second is Enneagram 9. So my triad is 5 first, then 9. But Enneagram 9, very easygoing, laid back, peaceful people. They're not out to have confrontation. They're helpful people. They want to help you. They're easy peasy people. And so those are the people you also want in your life. They're not out to have drama. They're just low-key people. And so Enneagram 9 are good people. So that's one you might want to gravitate towards also. Enneagram 4, Now, I do like Enneagram 4s. Those do tend to be the INFJ people. Sometimes ENFJ people are Enneagram Type 4s, sometimes. Also, I've actually seen a very rare ENTP that was an Enneagram Type 4. So even though someone is an extrovert and a thinker type, doesn't mean they're not capable of being a feeler. They still have that. Nothing is an exact, and nothing is a polar on something that's definite all the time. So be a little more reasonable in that expectation. So, but it's easy to see ENFPs, INFJs, ENFJs, ISFJs. It's easy to see them as being easily Enneagram Type 4s. So you're going to see those kind of people and those kind of personalities as Enneagram Type 4. So Enneagram Type 4s, emotional people. So they're sensitive, they're emotional, they like to be different. So they're okay with being different. They want to be unique. They like having that clever idea. So naturally they're going to be drawn to us because we're unique. We come up with different ideas. And so they're going to be drawn to that because of the fact we're smart and able to think outside the box and come up with ideas. They like to also come up with ideas. They like to be unique. Now, having a relationship with them might be a little more tricky. They don't like to lose their identity. So if you're dating one, just keep in the mind that they are really worried about losing who they are by having a relationship. So having reassurance of telling them, hey, if you want to go out without me, no big. I like staying home. I trust you. Go out. In fact, I told that to a guy that I was dating. I was like, I'm not big on going out all the time. It drains me. I like to be at home sometimes just watching a stream. So if you want to go out with the guys and have fun and go have your beer and go play some pool, by all means go do it. I don't want you to think that you got to stay home with me because I want to stay home. Go have your fun. And that way that helps them to see that you're not trying to limit who they are and take away who they are. They could still be who they are and have their life, and you could still have your life and have those respect with each other's personalities and boundaries. So Enneagram Type 4, they're pretty good people, and some of them have a 4-wing 5. And so some of them are naturally drawn to sci-fi and some of the stuff that we're interested in. And so you have that similar pattern and can get along with them because of that. Same with Enneagram 3. Some of them are geeky too. That guy I dated, the ENFP Enneagram 3 that was Army, he likes some geeky stuff. In fact, he would paint these little things that Henry Cavill also paints, that's Warhammer game stuff that you go and you do gaming with. And so he was into that, and he would paint some intricate things. It was pretty interesting. He would take his time and paint these little tiny things, and it was so detailed. And I used to do ceramics with my grandma when I was little, my gran, and so I just really admire that about Henry Cavill and about that guy I dated. So they can be geeky. I think Henry Cavill is probably Enneagram 3, and I think he's possibly ENFP. He's a really deep thinker. It's possible he's an ENTP, but I can tell he's one of those two. But most certainly he's an Enneagram 3. So they do have a geeky side. Let's see. So Enneagram 4s, they're very caring, sweet. Most of the time introverted. They're prone to depression, which we are as well. Hence why we isolate so bad and avoid people. We get fearful of the world and overwhelmed, and especially when we're rejected, especially us as Enneagram 5s. So we have that in common with the 4s, so they're easy to get along with. Enneagram Type 8s. Enneagram 8s, I've dated 2. Those are difficult because they are also highly sensitive and worried about rejection. So they will sabotage a relationship and they will dump you first because they're afraid of being rejected. They would rather be the rejector than being rejected. They're convinced in their head that you're gonna reject them because you're smart And you can, as us as Enneagram 5s, we're very smart, and most of us tend to be very observant people. I'm very observant. I'm very analytical. And so sometimes that makes people nervous. And they don't see that my intentions are good. And so until they get to know me really well. But they will sometimes sabotage the relationship because they're so afraid of getting hurt. So if they're unhealthy though, and they are not emotionally able to have a relationship, just don't even bother. So Enneagram 8s, they tend to be smart. I like that in most part for Enneagram 8s, those are the ENTPs mostly. So you'll see like the lawyer type of people that are Enneagram 8s. They like to debate a little bit. They like to challenge. They like to have a discussion and argue a little bit. And so if you're okay with that and you can hold your ground as an Enneagram 5, and if you're an INTJ, that helps because you can hold your ground with them. And you can think, not as quickly as them though. I don't think as fast as an extrovert. I don't. I have to think and process and then come up with the answer. It just depends on if I know the subject really well. Like in grad school, I was on a debate team, and I was the only girl with all these guys, and we had to debate this other team, and they chose me as a leader to debate. And so I would see holes while I would listen to the other team, and then I could process and debate against them. So, but I have to have that time to process. So I can't do it just off the top of my head like an extrovert can. So an extrovert, and if they're healthy, they can debate and have like a healthy, little argument or a little, just a little jab at you to be silly. But if they're unhealthy, you're going to see more of the manipulative behavior in an Enneagram 8. They will argue to manipulate. They will do stuff that's just not healthy. I'm trying to think of an example. I can't off the top of my head, so I'm sorry. I tried to come up with as much stuff as I could and organize before making these videos, and this one is already too long. So I hope this has been helpful, and much luck to you. If you have any more questions, by all means put it in a comment, and I'll be happy to address it later. Thank you so much, and have a great day, and thank you for watching to all of you that watched.